Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 309. My name is Brando. It's a tour review, the tour that was this year. Many bands tried and failed, and somehow Guns N' Roses got through a tour with no problems, relatively no problems. So we're going to talk about that with, I love all my listeners, but those who volunteer to come on these review episodes that have gotten so much positive reviews. That's a thinker. The review episodes get positive reviews. So it's not just fun for those joining us. If you're watching on Zoom on our YouTube channel, we have Eryk with a Y, and I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce your last name.
Hopajoki.
I like it flows better than it's spelled. And you're from
everybody calls me Hopper.
I'm going to call you Hopper then. Is that
easy enough?
Right. I like that. Wasn't Hopper the name of Charlie Sheen's character in Hot Shots?
Actually, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Now my friends are going to refer to that. I can just see where this is going to end up now.
That's a great character. It's a great movie. That was before he went,
Absolutely.
Well, he's friends with Slash. He's okay.
Yes.
And you're from Minnesota. Is that where you're from now? Where you
I
are
am.
now?
I'm from Brainerd. We're about 2 hours north of Minneapolis.
Very cool. And I'll talk. I told you a little bit. I was in Minnesota years and years ago. But I want to introduce Colleen first of all before your kids bust in with running noses and hopefully it's nothing too serious. She had to put her kids in a closet. No, I was kidding. In a separate room with her with her husband to do this review. So hi, Colleen. How are you?
Hello.
I'm excited for you to be here because I know you said you were a little nervous coming on, but before we get
everyone that.
Say that again. I'm sorry. This is what's weird with I do these Zoom interviews. Sometimes I don't know. Maybe there's a different setting as opposed to when I do phone. It'll maybe lower someone else's mic, so I don't know. It's tricky. So anyway, sorry to cut you off. What were you saying, Colleen?
Oh, I just said we weren't supposed to tell everyone I was nervous.
That's how it is. I'm nervous. See, that's the thing. That's what this show
right.
is. I'm telling you. You said something funny off. I'm sorry. We'll start over again if this is too embarrassing. But
no, it's fine.
When I first approached you, and you are like, where in Florida are you from? Because you went to the Hollywood, Florida. Both shows or one of them?
I went to one show, but I live in Atlanta.
Okay, very cool.
We traveled for the show.
Okay, so I'm learning more. So that's great to know because it's fun to find. As I did this year, I traveled for some shows. I was so heartbroken over not being able to see them in Chicago at Wrigley Field because they changed the date when they rescheduled the dates for COVID. I'm like, I gotta see another show other than New Jersey. I've seen so many shows in New Jersey and New York. I mean, I saw one show in Ottawa years ago, but it's enough already. But enough about me. I've talked about my experiences for the most part. But I had to say, Colleen, this is why I love Guns N' Roses too. This is the tie into GN'R. Axl gets nervous, maybe not now, but in years past before shows, Slash does. That's why I say me. I'm never gonna act too cool. I'm always nervous talking to a famous guest. You said off the air when you hear your voice, that's something else too. Like, oh, I don't want to hear myself. Is that really my voice? I say that to this day. Eryk, I was teasing you before about, your Minnesota accent, how some people think you're from Canada. When I hear myself, I sound like Fran Drescher's nephew, Mr. Sheffield, so that's me. And I'm a radio guy. So that's what this is about. All of us are just having fun talking about Guns N' Roses. None of us need to sound like Tom Brokaw or, Diane Sawyer or anything. This is just us having fun. And hopefully no cats press any buttons on my thing, no kids run in. And if you have to run, I understand a mom's duty to do stuff. So Guns N' Roses, it's been a fun ride, this tour, and talking about it with not just you, Colleen, and Eryk on my respective social medias, which is how I found you both. Colleen on Instagram and Eryk, I believe, was on Facebook. 25 shows, which is just incredible to get through in 2021. So many bands tried. They were going to try. They postponed. I was at the first one, which was interesting. And because we all here experience new music live. Baltimore, the first show, the only show, Hershey Park. Hershey Park, not Baltimore. Was the only show not to experience Absurd. So I want to get both of your experiences. Eryk, I kind of promised you a few weeks ago, because you went to the Minneapolis show, right?
Yep, St. Paul. Actually, they at the X in St. Paul. So,
which, by the way, and Colleen, maybe you identify this, because I'm not a mom, I'm not a dad yet either, but my mom, she refers to Guns N' Roses as that band I like, but she's also a mega Snoopy fan. Yeah, it's the Peanuts, but she's hardcore Snoopy. You see, I mean, right now I'm using, if you're watching on Zoom, just the virtual backgrounds, but if you normally have seen a lot of my videos, I have the GN'R, my room is just plastered with GN'R stuff. My house is all Snoopy. It's absurd. So pun intended, I guess. So actually I bought on the GN'R truck, I bought her the Snoopy shirt, the Peanuts shirt, and I didn't tell her. I'm waiting for her to send me the picture of her in it so I could share it with everybody. Oh, but no, see, here's where the Fran Drescher thing comes in. Oh no, I got to put my hair, I got to do my hair just to take a picture. Just I want to see, to show you it. She thought it was an accident, by the way. I had to deliver it to her by accident. She's like, who is this person? Is that Schroeder playing the piano? And my brother's like, no, that's Axl Rose, that's Slash. So she didn't realize that was not actually Peanuts, and that was this Guns N' Roses stuff. So anyway, sorry, that was the thing I right away I got about St. Paul. So I had to put St. Paul on pause, Eryk. That's why I'm bringing you on now, because I think this was around the time we were going to get Hard Skool.
yes.
So I'm like, I don't know if I should do these reviews until we get a Hard Skool. Like, this is actually going to happen. So that's why, Eryk, you're joining me. And Colleen, you were, the last hurrah. You got to experience something very cool. I wish they did it every show, by the way, not just because I experienced Hard Skool and Absurd. You got to see Wolfgang play with Guns N' Roses, right?
I did.
So what we can, I mean, that's amazing. So you talk a little bit, because obviously, I'm just setting the table here. And Eryk, feel free to chime in with your experiences, obviously in Minnesota, but to get the end of the road tour, and actually let me do the appropriate virtual background for this. So I'm going to take a picture of just all the guys and gal saying goodbye. I want to get clever with my virtual background. They're all saying, waving goodbye. The same thing they do every single night. So it was the end of the road, these last two shows in Hollywood, Florida. So you said you're from Atlanta. Was this the closest show to you?
So I was supposed to go to Atlanta summer 2020.
Okay.
And then they rescheduled that tour, but they didn't reschedule the Atlanta. They just canceled it. So then the rescheduled tour, I was going to go to the Minneapolis show, which is really weird that we're talking about this.
That is weird. But
then the tour didn't start till after that time. So Minneapolis became St. Paul. And I still don't know why we chose Minneapolis, honestly. I guess we thought it'd be nice in the summer. I don't know. So then we found these Hollywood dates, and this place was 7,000 people. Like, it was a small venue. And when I heard that, I was like, I don't care how much it costs. I'm flying there to see Guns N' Roses in a small venue. And it was amazing.
Very cool. So normally you would just go in your vicinity, Atlanta, and that sucks. That really does. I feel for all the fans that didn't get a rescheduled date and you just got it flat out canceled. I feel so bad. So
yeah, I've been to Atlanta, North Carolina, kind of anywhere around. When it comes to Guns N' Roses, I will go anywhere.
When was the first time? And I'll ask you, Eryk, the same thing. When was the first time you got to see GN'R?
I saw GN'R the fall of 1992 at the Metrodome in Minneapolis with Metallica. That was the first time I got to see GN'R.
Ooh, the old Metrodome. I guess think of Kirby Puckett right away. But Colleen, what about you? Are you that old school? Because I've said my first experience was 2002 with Buckethead.
So I'm jealous because I was born in 1980, so I missed just by like this much. I missed, like, that's still my favorite era. Like, I'm obsessed with Tokyo and obsessed with that era of Guns N' Roses, but I didn't get to witness it live. So the first time I saw Guns N' Roses was 2002. But then the first time I saw Axl/Duff was 2016.
So same as me, which is great.
But up until that, I've seen Velvet Revolver. I've seen Dizzy Reed's Hookers and Blow. I've seen Tommy Stinson. I've seen like anyone who's associated with Guns N' Roses. If they are anywhere nearby, I've gone to see them.
You sound like my podcast. Essentially, I've interviewed them. So that's awesome. And that's why I wanted to reach out to you, Colleen. Let's get into this too. I'm glad you said something before. And it's a question I honestly ask every fan that's been on here to do the review. What is the demographic of when you go to a show, right? It's like, are you seeing, because I would have fun with like, okay, you're seeing little kids, you're seeing a family next to you. What's their reaction when Absurd comes on and those filthy lyrics are played? No, but everyone's saying it's just it's not just their children. You see older people. It's just all over, and it's men, women. It's everywhere. So I have realized this. It's not, no one pointed it out to me. So I'm team Colleen right here. I was like, all my reviews is not the episodes that I've done. The fans that I've had on are not a representation of the Guns N' Roses fan base completely, because this isn't Rush. It's not all guys that listen to Guns N' Roses. Like, you know what I mean? And also my fan base. Honestly, if you look at my social media, I mean, it's 50-50 with the people commenting, you know, all sorts, orientation. So that's what I love about this podcast and Guns N' Roses. It's all over the world, not just the country, and just there's no age limit. There's no gender limit. So when Colleen, I think it was, I forget what post it was on Instagram, but you commented, "Hey, I'm going to Hollywood tonight." And I just took it upon myself to say, hey, if you want to do a review, send me a DM. Because I'm like, I want to get some estrogen on here. I want to get some My Michelle's on here. It's enough. I'm like that in my real life. All the dude broke. No offense, Eryk. I want to talk to you. But and I loved all my guys that have come on here. The other Eryk, Eryk P, he also spells his with a K, but with an I. What's with all these weird spellings of Eryk? Now that if I can deviate.
Well, we're just like, we're unique individuals. You know, we got to be different and stubborn. We can't just be like the norm, just like GN'R.
As long as you spell different. As long as you spell Axl the right way. There's only one way to spell Axl.
100%.
So, Colleen, can you just tell me what you said off air? What kind of prompted you to get over? Because I understand, and a lot of listeners have said this, my like pre-show talk calms you down. I know it is nerve-wracking. I know it's only a podcast. It's not live radio. I'm not Howard Stern, but it still could be nervous. But you said something that motivated you really more than what I told you. You know, my suggestion to come on. What motivated you to do this review today?
So I was, and I don't want to call this guy out. Like I feel bad now, but I was listening to the Chicago review. And I think the guy was just saying like, thanks for having me on. And he goes, because there are probably lots of other guys who want to be here. And I kind of took offense to that. And I was like, why would it have to be a guy doing a review? So that's when I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And it was right after I listened to that I was like, I sent you a message. I was like, I'll do it. Thank
you. Girl power. And you know what? I don't remember who it was, but it was one of those things. I think it was just guys universal, but you're right. I'll do a shout out to, just to prove it, a shout out to GN'R girl. She's a great Twitter follow. And I know she was also at one of the can't even say the Hollywood, Florida. I want to say California right away. That's where my New York brain goes, shows, and she's been to a few. So I wanted to get females. Honestly, my goal, Eryk, maybe I'll call you Erica by accident. I wanted to get an all-female review to kick it off. But you know what? GN'R will tour again. We'll have a whole a ladies' night kind of thing. Maybe Colleen will come back for that. So thank you for coming on. Whatever motivated you. And it's just, again, proof. Guns N' Roses and the AFD show are fans of all ilk. So I want to get your kind of experience of the flight down there. Did you go with your children? Did you go with your family? Do you have a GN'R buddy that you go to with?
I do have a GN'R buddy.
Okay.
I have someone I've been friends with. We've been friends now for almost 20 years, and our friendship was built upon Guns N' Roses.
Look at that.
That we met at a Guns N' Roses tribute band. And we both realized, like, you know all the lyrics. You know all the lyrics. And then our friendship has been completely based on that. And like it went from there, and like she was the maid of honor in my wedding and all sorts of stuff. But our friendship is based on Guns N' Roses, and it's awesome because if I say, hey, let's go to Florida and fly down there and spend tons of money to go see Guns N' Roses, she's like, sure.
That's what you need. That is exactly what you need. And I love that. You know, the friendships, which,
because I've heard you talk about people, but there's no convincing. It's great.
you're right. Because I've asked that with a lot of listeners where, you know, many of them will go by themselves. That's not something I do. I'm too insecure. I'm not somebody who, you know, I was the kid who ate by himself at times. I don't want to relive and have PTSD of being alone. Perhaps I've said too much, but I mean, it's also like a physical thing. I don't want to go like anywhere, like a concert, like by myself. But even when they were local, I think it was recently the anniversary of, I posted something on Facebook. It was like 10 years ago where, does anybody want to see Guns N' Roses with me? I don't care what anyone says. I like Chinese Democracy. I remember not finding any friend to go with me. Now, thankfully, I have my fiance, and even though she's a Dave Matthews freak and have seen them 40 times, she is now down to see GN'R. So she actually saw them all 3 times with me on this tour, which is amazing. And she had no problem going, oh yeah, let's go to Baltimore. We'll go sightseeing. She does all her stuff. And she also loves the concert as well. So I have now finally my my GN'R buddy. But let me ask you, which was something that came through my mind, and I'm glad she was obsessed about a band, so she wouldn't freak out when we first started dating. I'm like, when she sees my obsession about Guns N' Roses, how is she gonna react? It's not that big of a deal, obviously. But with Colleen, when you found, you know, how long have you been married, and what does your husband feel about, you know, you just going, I'm gonna go see Guns N' Roses in Florida and leaving you with the kids? How does he feel? How does he react to that?
So Guns N' Roses is the only time that I leave him with the kids like that. I've done it twice now where I've left town. Other than that, since the kids, like my kids are 5 and 2, I am with them all the time. So Guns N' Roses, like I save it up for Guns N' Roses shows. So then he's like, he gets a little jealous because I don't let him go to shows with me.
Why? Why don't you?
Because it's kind of my thing that my friend and I do. And so it's just kind of like our thing. So he's always like, okay, have fun. I still haven't seen them.
That's funny. Eryk, do you go, do you have a buddy that you go with? Do you go with family?
I do. Through the years, I've got 2 buddies. I've seen GN'R. This was my 13th show. I've got a buddy that's seen 6 of them with me, another one that has 5 shows when we've gone to different states. So we'll fly and have a good time. And this time we all brought our wives. What was interesting is one of the buddies, actually, they had to quarantine for COVID. So another couple stepped in. They'd never seen GN'R before. So it added another layer of excitement because they were very excited. And we usually get pretty good seats. So they had great seats. So you got to see their excitement, and I'm just in heaven. It's my spot. And, you know, and you look at the last year and a half to not be able to maybe attend concerts like we normally would, it just made it that much more special to really enjoy that show. And my wife, it was her second time going to a show with me, and she really enjoyed it.
Okay. Any kids? Are you know, you're not leaving children anywhere with friends when you're, but you're local. You just get a babysitter, I guess.
Well, we've got all my kids are adult kids.
Oh, okay.
They've never gotten to experience the GN'R show on that end. And my wife and I, we get to celebrate our 2nd wedding anniversary a week from today, actually, on the 18th. So happy anniversary a week early, honey, if you even listen to this. She loves going to GN'R just to watch me get excited, I think.
Well, mazel tov. The universe will give you brownie points for saying happy anniversary early. But then, Colleen, if your kids are not going, I hope you got them this shirt that I'm wearing. The I Survived Guns N' Roses.
I did get my daughter that shirt.
You got your 5-year-old daughter this shirt?
5-year-old. She loves Guns N' Roses. She loves Slash. Talk about Slash all the time.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. I think I'm raising her really right that she even knows who Slash is at 5.
Yes.
But yes, I did get her that shirt and she was very excited about it.
And I'm glad that you and your 5-year-old daughter, I mean, me and my 5-year-old, I'm going to say this again. Me and your 5-year-old daughter are the same size, apparently. We wear the same shirt. That's
just, amazing.
Isn't it? It's a little snug, but that doesn't make it any better at all. All right. So how long is the flight from Hollywood, Florida or from Atlanta to Hollywood, Florida?
It was like 2 hours.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Yeah. So did you get there? Like, when do you get there? Like showtime, or you're just, I want to go land and go to the show, or do you kind of take in the scenery and everything around it?
So we got there Friday night and we went and had like a really nice seafood dinner, got up the next morning, went to the beach. It was like a perfect 2 days, like to start your day at the beach and then end your day with Guns N' Roses. I was like, I couldn't think of a better day.
You're hard pressed to find that.
So it was pretty perfect.
Did you go there in time to see Wolfgang, to see Mammoth?
No, because that was part of what I messaged you, was like, is it worth it? Because I just couldn't decide if we wanted to go and get there that early. And then it was just kind of crazy getting over there and getting in there. So we were trying to make it for like half and we just ended up missing him. So the only time I saw him was Paradise City.
Well, at least you got to see him. You guys saw something that nobody else did. You know, it is interesting because this was a unique experience, I believe, this year. And maybe, especially considering what Eryk had experienced in 1992, the way GN'R used to conduct things. Everything is beyond on time. It is by the dot. And, you know, this is the first time people are out for the most part. And you want to enjoy the night out. You're used to Guns N' Roses going on late. Maybe the opening act doesn't go on time. And the merch, as we're talking about, you know, my shared merch with your young daughter, it's been a hot topic, I guess you can call it. This leg. I mean, all the merchandise that they're selling. So all the lines and people waiting in lines, and you're listening to Mammoth. So, what I've said, if you missed him, he'll be around for a long time. I definitely recommend seeing him, but I think it would be a different experience, like if he headlines. Like, Eryk, did you go when you went to see in St. Paul? Did you see him?
We did, but we only caught the end of it. We actually had some VIP seats, so we were in a lounge, and unfortunately, a few cocktails led to some extra. And by the time we got down, we came right at the end of his set. But you can tell there's just stage presence. I mean, I saw him when he was touring with Van Halen a few years ago. And I think there's going to be bigger things to come for Wolfie. Yeah.
Even when I was just, I think I was watching like the Giants Cowboys game yesterday, and they had one of Wolfgang's songs going to Won't Back Down, going to break. So yeah, he's going to be a big deal. And that's what I loved about this tour from the get-go, that it was going to be the debut of, I didn't have the appropriate background for this. Hold on. All right. The Where Effin' Back. I don't know if it's officially the Where Effin' Back tour, but they hit a home run when it was Mammoth. I thought so. So Colleen, where were your seats? Were you in? Here's kind of to piggyback off that, where some people are late to see Mammoth, and because you're just you're drinking, you lose track of time. It's a concert. It is what it is. But there are a lot of people that think GN'R is going to be on super late, and they're not. They're not in their seat. So were you in your seat? Where were you when It's So Easy hit? Were you ready, or were you still finding yourself?
No, so we were general admission, like the pit.
Okay.
So when we got there, I guess the floor there holds like 1,000 people. When we got there was probably 150 to 200 people on the floor. So we were like 5 people back.
Okay.
And we were like, okay, we're not moving. Like, this is it.
Do you go towards, and something I didn't really give much thought to, and kudos to the fans that do, like, hey, I want to be on Duff's side. I want to be on Slash's side. Do you have a preference, or you just like, you found your spot and you were standing in front of people that not much taller than you, so you can see anything that the rhyme or reason for where you were standing for the general admission? Do you have like a plan of attack other than, hey, I'm here, let's stand here?
So the last 2 shows we were on Slash's side. So we decided this time to be on Duff's side. And then also, I really, really like Richard Fortus's stage presence. So I kind of wanted to be on his side too, to see, like, to really see what he was doing.
Okay. See, you're a pro. You're a concert veteran. You exactly. For me, I'm just like handicap seats. Can I get there? Whatever. That's my thought every time. But Eryk, you were a very important person in St. Paul. Is that where you were?
Yeah, I just lost you a little bit on Zoom there. Can you repeat that one?
Were you good? I want to repeat it with a terrible joke anyway. You were a very important person, a VIP. Were you hanging out with the Squid Game VIPs? Sorry, I don't know if you guys watched the Squid Game.
We were center. 4 rows back behind the pit.
Okay.
And we just got that. Usually we'll look for pretty good tickets. I like to be in the center so I can kind of take all sides in. And it just happened to be they weren't bought as VIP. And I'll the email through.
Hello, he's freezing. You're freezing a little bit, Eryk.
Am I freezing?
Yeah, you were a little bit, if you can get the end of that. I mean, and you know what? But while you say that, because this was happened, and no worries, Eryk. I told you both, Colleen and Eryk, before. This is, this isn't the nightly news. You don't need to be Tom Brokaw, Diane Sawyer, to be on this. This is just a fun Guns N' Roses broadcast. And yeah, I'll clean it up a little bit on the audio side, Eryk, but on the Zoom, we're having fun here. So no sweat. Go ahead, buddy.
Am I better now? Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I don't know but no, our seats, it's fun to kind of take it all. And I love being in the center just because I can kind of get angles on, everything. It's fun. I'll tell you, at the St. Paul show, Slash that's one of the best shows I've ever seen Slash at. It was almost the Slash show. He was that good that night.
Very cool. It's interesting that over the course of doing these reviews, people are like, it was Axl's night this night. It was Slash's night this night. It was Duff's night. So it's very cool. It's almost like a sports team. Like somebody was the star of that night, but we all win in the end. All right. So Colleen, take us through. Oh, before we got to general mission, and I want to ask Eryk, I guess the same thing. Merch situation then. Since you got merch, are you waiting in line? Do you get it after? Did you get the lithograph? Like, do you have a certain process with that as well?
Typically, I love the merch truck because I can order from other shows. So I've got the Atlantic City one, Chicago. So when I go there that night, I don't have to buy merch and worry about it. We did get like VIP bags that had all kinds of pins, guitar picks, posters, some other little like VIP cards. It was pretty unique. A few years ago, not in this lifetime, they gave you a big collector's book. Mm-hmm. That was pretty good. Normally my wife will just grab that and run with it. I just love to kind of roam and not have to be responsible for any merch. And that's where I can get it ahead of time versus buying it and trying to carry it and having it spilled on or anything.
You're right. What about you, Colleen? Because your kids are coming home. Did you get me anything? Right?
So I get merch after the show, just doing like the pit and standing room. I don't really want to be holding anything because of course my plan all night is to try to move forward as much as I can. So I don't want anything holding me back. But I was kind of like the lithograph for Hollywood. I was kind of disappointed in it.
Okay.
I didn't think it was as cool as, and I guess I don't know what Hollywood would be known for. So maybe they kind of had that issue too. Because there were so many cool, like the Milwaukee, the Happy Days and the Detroit RoboCop, like there were so many super cool lithographs. And when I saw the one for Hollywood, I was like, yeah, I guess I don't really need that.
It was unique. I feel like you would have to go to both shows to really appreciate, because it looked like there were like skeleton Godzillas shooting lasers out of their eyes, right? And again, I guess I get it. It's Axl, Slash, and Duff. They're the Guns N' Roses guys. But I mean, I just don't like the fact that all these lithographs only include the three, and like the rest of the band are just afterthoughts. I mean, I'm sure they're not treated as such, but sometimes, like, I don't know, I want them to be a full band. So anyway, it's just the three of them, and I think they combine as one if you put them together each night. So I mean, I get it though. I wasn't impressed when I went to the Baltimore one. It was like a raven in front of the Estranged lyrics, which sounds cool, but it wasn't. So you know what I did? And I already have buyer's remorse. My fiance said, she's like, you have like so many Guns N' Roses shirts. Do you have any sweatshirts? And I said, no, I don't have any actually. I have a long sleeve Chinese Democracy tour shirt, which I don't know, maybe Colleen, you got in 2002. They sold that on that tour. And I have like a baseball sleeve tee. And I get there and I see it's just a generic Guns N' Roses logo and it says World Tour on the black. Maybe you guys saw this on the merch. And it says World Tour underneath. And the side of it says "Where effing back" or something like that. Where effing here, something effing. And she's like, "That's so hot." I'm like, "That's hot?" She's like, "Yeah, I like that." I'm like, would you wear it? She's like, "Yeah, of course." So she wears half my stuff anyway. So I spent $100. I spent $100 on this black Guns N' Roses sweatshirt. I didn't need it. I have a wedding to save up for, but whatever. We'll split it. So maybe it was like $50 to me. Although whatever. I'm trying to rationalize it now. So I have buyer's remorse. I forget if I've mentioned that on the podcast. I just need to say, I just go there and I get excited, right? Sometimes you just go into, I don't know, and I swear to you, I swear to both of you, I wouldn't lie to either of you, Colleen and Eryk. I put the sweatshirt and I bought a white T-shirt there because I have enough white T-shirts. And they were both in the Guns N' Roses merch bag. And I was walking to my seats and I said, "God damn it, Axel, you got me again. Just here's more of my money. Here's more of my money." I muttered that to myself because that's the kind of person that I am. All right. So I want to know, Colleen, some of since you've seen GN'R so many times, I would like to know what you were looking forward to, I guess, at the Hollywood show. What songs were you looking forward to and your feelings on Estranged and not Estranged, excuse me, Absurd and Hard Skool, the new songs.
So like the songs I was looking forward to me, it's funny you say Estranged. Like to me, Estranged and Coma live are just like my two, like I don't even know how to put them into words. Coma,
I said it on purpose then.
As soon as you hear the beginning of Coma, like that was at the point in the night where I screamed so hard that my throat hurt for like 4 days afterwards. I was like, I think I just killed my vocal cords because I was so excited, because the point in the show where they had been playing Coma, they didn't play it and they saved it till later in the night. So I thought I wasn't getting Coma. So it was like a nice surprise and I got way too excited about it and blew out my voice. But so Absurd and Hard Skool, I liked live much better than I liked the recorded versions.
Of both of them?
Of both of them.
Okay.
I think the recorded versions, I like Absurd better. Absurd to me just reminds me so much of like the Spaghetti Incident era, like Axl's vocals, the way he's singing, like he's got almost that like British punk rock sound to it that reminds me a lot of like Spaghetti Incident stuff. And then Hard Skool, I hate being on a Guns N' Roses podcast saying like I don't love it.
Your opinions are allowed.
And I'm not a musician, so I don't know why, but there's something about it, the recorded version, that's just kind of not interesting to me. I don't know. Okay. There's like about 3/4 through the guitar changes and then I really like it. But the beginning of Hard Skool, like the recorded version, it just sounds too produced. I don't know. Like it's kind of how I felt about Chinese Democracy when it came out, after hearing the demos for so long, like the rough demos, that I liked the roughness. And then when Chinese Democracy came out with some songs, I was like, oh. And I think you talked about that, like people listening to the demos and getting, whatever about the demos. And
yeah,
that Hard Skool just has something about it that just sounds too, it's not rough. I don't know.
I understand what you're saying. It's well produced, it's processed. I guess it's just a lot of production into it, especially since it's an older song and they're adding to it a bit. But okay, that's fine. And it's something that could be said on not just on this podcast, but on my social media. Everyone can know this. Opinions are allowed. We don't have to have the same, as long as you're not like, spouting Nazi propaganda, you can on my page. I don't care. You know what I mean? I know that's the extreme of it all. But I think people need to know that unless you're like someone's rude, if you're like, hey, I don't like Hard Skool, and someone's like, Colleen, you're an idiot. Yeah, that person's a jerk, and I can't have that comment on my page. But you can agree to disagree. I completely, but I get what you're saying too. And part of me is like, do I have to sit back and do I like it as much as I did because it's all the hype? I do like it. I definitely got when I first got released. I listened to it for like a day straight, and I've taken a big break from it for a while. So it's not like it's still on my rotation at the moment, but I like it. But Eryk, you didn't get to experience it live.
We didn't. We got to experience Absurd, and my take on Absurd is, I appreciate it because it's a GN'R tune, but I really like Hard Skool because it just brings me back a little bit further. Where Absurd was, it's good, but it's that kind of that industrial Robin Fink type vibe to it. And not that that's a bad thing. It just wasn't my take on it, and I missed it. It would have been great to hear Hard Skool live. I really like it. It's in my playlist in my vehicle when I hop in there and kind of have my 5 or 6 songs, and that's one of them right now. And I just really took to it. It reminded me of the older era for whatever the reason on that end was.
Something about, hearing that Duff bass line and then going into what was, late 90s, early 2000s Axl, and just getting almost like a time machine, just like what it could have sounded like if they stayed together. And part of me is wondering if that's what Axl is trying to do, with the releasing these older songs with a fresh spin. Is he, or trying to do these long shows? Is he trying to make up for lost time? I have absolutely no idea. And it's interesting. And it sucks that, again, that first show, if I only went to Hershey Park, I would be so upset that because they got nothing. I know there were some technical issues that the day which happened, but they got nothing. But this, for the most part, I'm going to bring it up on setlist.com. The average show length was over 3 hours, 3 hours and 5 minutes. I mean, no, what band does that in general? I mean, yeah, Bruce Springsteen, but I mean, I'm talking about like now. No one does. I mean, and they got through every show. I mean, there was that. Was it Fenway? Maybe one of you can remind me where Axl got food poisoning.
Was it Wrigley or Fenway? It might have been Wrigley.
It was one of those.
Wrigley.
Okay, I knew it was one of the stadium shows. So thank you. As always, my listeners are more informed and intelligent than me.
Well, and I think you heard some. There was some time frames in that St. Paul show where maybe that affected Axl a little bit because it wasn't that long when you look at where St. Paul was in comparison to that Wrigley show. But he fought through it, and all of a sudden, I mean, he'd come right back like nothing was missing. But you'd hear it a little bit in his voice, that you could tell maybe he was getting out of that cold or whatever he had from that standpoint.
It's fascinating. And the same thing with Melissa Reese. She had posted on Instagram that she was sick as well. So who knows what they ate. And it wasn't that because it was at the end of it was after the second Florida show. I don't know if you guys saw it on Instagram. They were all posting it, all the members, even the management, Beta and everything, that giant cake. Oh, I gotta find it. I should have that as my background. I gotta find that. But I can understand, like, how do you look at it? Like, how do you eat it? Maybe you get food poisoning from that. So I don't know. I want to know, I'm just glad they didn't get COVID because you hear about, I interviewed Frank Hannon from Tesla as right before the tour. He ends up getting COVID. He's like, I should have gotten the vaccine. And then who was it? Then it was Gavin Rossdale from Bush, who has the same agent as Guns N' Roses. And he's like, why are we touring? He's like, I don't feel comfortable. Then they canceled their tour. So the fact that GN'R has gotten through all of it. And I was wondering, what was Colleen going to experience those last few shows? Anything new? We got Absurd and Hard Skool, which was more than any of us thought. But for you to get Wolfgang Van Halen to come out for Paradise City, were you expecting anything? Because obviously we all know, most people listening to this podcast know how the show is going to end. All right? We know it's Paradise City. It's not like maybe you two heard me say in the Baltimore review. There was these women behind me that said, what do you think they're going to start with? We all know it's so easy. If you're a hardcore GN'R fan, Colleen's smiling. We know, obviously. So can you take us through what Paradise City was like when you saw Wolfgang come out? Did you realize that was Wolfgang? You know?
I think it kind of took a minute. So by the very end of the show, we had gotten up, we were front row.
Oh,
So
so you were.
I was kind of having like a, oh my God, I'm front row at Guns N' Roses. So everything was just a little surreal at that point because I was so close and so that I was like, it felt like watching it on TV. Do you know what I mean? Like watching a concert film because I was right there for it. So it kind of took me a minute. And then once Paradise City, I was like paying attention a little more. I was like, oh, he's right there. I mean, he was right in front of us. We were right in front of Duff. So like Duff and Slash and Wolfgang were sharing the mic right in front of us. So
That's cool. Well, you like in that moment, are you singing along or are you looking at people's faces, especially again being up that close? And I shared today, I think it was 4 years ago where I got Madison Square Garden, and it was the first time Pink came out with Guns N' Roses, The End of Patience, and I'm way up. It's like I saw mini Kiss, mini GN'R, mini Pink. But my closest I ever got was Axl DC. And when you're that close, you're right. It is like watching a movie. You're in awe. It's not just the music. You get to see these people so close. They just seem like mythical figures when you listen to their music. So do you have your phone up at all at that point? Are you one of those? Like, are you one of those people too, or no?
No, I tried to take, which now I'm kind of mad about. I took probably 10 pictures and 5 videos throughout the entire night. Because it's like the beginning of the show and It's So Easy started. I'm like, all the band sees when they look out is everyone with their phone. And I was like, that's got to be kind of annoying on stage when all you see are phones. Are people really enjoying it? So I was really just trying to enjoy the moment. But now I'm mad that I don't have more.
Yeah, that's an interesting, and Eryk, tell me what you do. Because obviously back in 1992, this was not a problem. I mean, maybe your beeper's going off every so often, right?
Well, it's amazing how things go. I remember at a show in Minneapolis in 2002, I took out my phone, flip phone back in the day, and I wanted to record a little bit. No pictures. Security was on me. It wasn't 2 minutes. Sir, you got to put that phone away or we'll take it. Because that's the way, cameras or phones used to be. Nowadays, I love to get my phone up and take pictures, but then I put it down. I might snap 1 or 2. I don't want to hold it up. I really do want to enjoy the show, and I try to get some pictures to remind me and tell that story. Colleen, I would agree with you. I don't want to hold my phone up the whole time. As much as I want to remember it, I want to remember it up here. And pictures, I still want to take some pictures, but I just love to get lost in the show.
And I kind of wish Axl would start getting mad at people again about taking pictures. Jump into the crowd, take someone's phone.
Not anymore. You see, he's a very wavy guy now. He likes to wave at people and smile. He's a happy camper now. So it's I'm with you, Colleen, where I look at that early GN'R, and sure, there were riots. Sure, there are bad things to happen, but wow, to experience that band, it's a different band now. We don't, so yeah, none of the angriness. But yeah, I've been to, Danzig. You had to put your phone in, this bag. I don't know, it's like not a Ziploc bag, but something tied tight. You couldn't open it until the end of the day. It was like with the same pin, like a clothes thing, so you don't steal clothes. I don't know if that has I'm sure it has a specific name. But like that, they put it in a bag that was kept together like that. So what do you guys think, I guess, of the overall? You both went to one show on this leg? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I went to one show on this leg, and not in this lifetime. I got to see 2 shows. I saw Phoenix and then Minneapolis on that end. But yeah, this leg only one. Okay.
This again, very rare. I only see one always. But this was rarefied air. But I'm the same with you to kind of piggyback off both of you. You want to enjoy the moment, and you might have to balance, like you want to remember some of it. Now, I mean, it's a stupid problem to have, but I feel, which has been part of why I love doing these review shows, I feel like I'm there with everybody. I'm tweeting the set list. People, it's like I just tweet a picture of me and people are saying, hey, have fun. And they're from, other countries, and it makes me feel good. I just feel like I'm there with everybody. But yeah, at the same time, I don't want to be that person constantly holding up my phone to do that. So there's a balance, I think, to be a good fan nowadays. Because you're right, you don't want to be, if you're up there and you're just looking back at all phones, that can take you out. They get you out of it. And actually,
it was interesting. The couple that went with us that never had seen GN'R before, towards the end when Axel gets ready to throw that microphone, I mean, I'm ready because we're in the prime area where it lands. My buddy touched it and he couldn't grab it because I'm almost ready to run him over to grab it. The show 4 years ago, the lady in front of me got the whistle. And that's the ultimate prize. The whistle or that microphone would just be fun to be able to have with all my memorabilia. My heart gets racing even just thinking about it because I was close.
I get jealous of those people as I bring up the cake on my background. Look at that. It's just like layered of whiteness. What do you think that's made out of? Like, it was edible. I didn't know if that was edible, the way that it looks. I mean, look on Dizzy Reed's Instagram, Del James Instagram betas. I don't know if I can accurately describe it. I'm not on Cake Boss, but they put it on like all those. It's covered in GN'R logos and piano keys and their albums and roses and guns appropriately. But if you look at Dizzy's Instagram, they ate it. So that's certainly a nice way to celebrate the end of the tour. But so, you know what? Let me get to that. Is because as we wait for another round of tour, what they're going to do, I feel bad for my Aussie friends. The Australian dates got rescheduled to next year. It's going to happen. Just think back when this Not in This Lifetime started, guys or gal. Sorry, guy and gal. We didn't know if they would make it through one show. We thought maybe the Troubadour would happen, and all right, let's break up again. And here we are. They can't stop touring. So you know what? Let me get some of your predictions. Do you have any predictions of what we're going to see going forward? Since we got two new-ish songs, do you believe? Do you believe there's going to be an album? When do you think it might come out? I have my thoughts, but I'm just curious if, as fans, what are you waiting for? What's the next thing with Guns N' Roses? Or are you just enjoying the ride for whatever it is?
I would tell you that I'm enjoying the ride, but if you look at, will it be new music or an album? Things are so different nowadays. When music gets released, a lot of times they're teasing a song or two because everything's such instant gratification. Where years ago, that instant gratification was waiting in line to get the cassette tape or the CD for the whole thing to kind of listen to and to open it up and look at. So it's hard. You talk about this extended, the EP I think they're putting out. I think maybe a 4-song one. Is that true rumor? I don't know if it's true.
So yeah, that's something else. So they are putting out, if you go, we were talking about merch before, and there's Hard Skool merch that came out. And by the way, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of confidence in myself, but sometimes I have a brilliant idea that I'm like, this is just, come on. When Hard Skool came out, how did they not have, rulers and erasers and pens and trapper keepers and all these, back to school? I mean, Colleen, you would have gotten all of those for your kids. You know that. But they're not doing it. But what they have some shirts out and they have vinyl. So the vinyl is going to be absurd. What they're calling a 4-song EP, which, to be honest with you, I think that's kind of insulting. So it's just absurd, Hard Skool, and 2 live tracks. I believe Don't Cry and
You're Crazy, I think is the other one.
Crazy. You're absolutely right. You're crazy. And that's it. And it's coming out, I think, almost close to summer. And people think, oh, it's Guns N' Roses being late again. No, this is the world we live in. COVID has just backed up a lot of manufacturing plants, and people could speak to it with more intelligence and know-how than me. But I just know there's a lot of manufacturing stuff backed up, and Guns N' Roses is not immune to it. So that's that. Hence the wait. Hence the wait for that. Colleen, do you have any thoughts? Did you go into this tour thinking that you were going to hear anything new?
No, because I think we've heard rumors for so long. There have always been rumors, and especially, I mean, I feel like it's been a few years that people like really started talking about Hard Skool again. And then after a while, I was like, well, Nothing came of it. And I think the thing when it comes to Guns N' Roses, like, I just don't know what to think. Like, I seriously never, ever, ever thought they would get back together. Any other band, yes. But Guns N' Roses, I was like, there's no way. There's too much there. It's not like a simple disagreement. I never thought we would get Not in This Lifetime. And then I thought that would be one tour. But we wouldn't get another tour. So, like, I don't know what to think.
That's the best answer.
I think it'll be new music, but I guess maybe it's just going to be what it is now, which is like just dropping a song here and there. Like, would there ever be an album? I don't know.
I'm with you too. I people ask my opinion, and of course, just doing a podcast, I'm like, I don't know. You can't guess this band. Throw something against the wall, see if it sticks. Ask your magic 8-ball. That's, come on. Who would have thought they would debut Hard Skool in Baltimore? Or Absurd, like Silkworms with Slash on it. That's a thing that they did. Yeah, that's a thing that they did. I think the focus now, though, and it's interesting to see Guns N' Roses management. Sure, of course, they support Slash and his with Miles Kennedy, but they're like promoting it. So I think it's going to be all Slash right now, and maybe after that we might get something. What you're saying, another single dropped, and maybe another EP. Maybe this is a nice way to constantly promote another tour, another leg of a tour. Some reworked songs and a couple live tracks, from that. So that might happen. But
I would love to see like a new song, not, Absurd with Silkworms and then Hard Skool is what, Jackie Chan. Like, I would love to see like a truly new, like, Slash, Duff and Axl came up with this song, not like a reworking of a song that's been around for a long time. Like, I would be so curious to know what that song would sound like.
You're not the only one.
Yep, Colleen, I couldn't agree with you more.
I sound like now it's like Axl. You're not the only ones. You're not the only one. Sorry for that. I just ruined the song for everybody. I apologize. You're not, and I think that's what some fans are upset about. Hard Skool and Absurd being like, "This is what you did. You guys can't get together." I just don't know their thought process. Why get rid of all these songs that Axl did, or perhaps these were riffs and bass lines that Duff had, and they're just mixing them together? Like, why should we get rid of this stuff? Especially when this is a band where, speaking of my terrible November Rain impersonation, that was an early GN'R song that appeared later on Use Your Illusion. So these things happen. But you're right. I hope it's the entire spectrum of it all. That we do get rework stuff and something that is in the moment, like a band. That's what you like. You want to see this. You want this to be a band, not a brand. But I guess you get it because it is capitalism at its finest. That's okay. So let me overall. I think I've asked this from people who've come on. Let me ask you, Eryk. Out of all the Guns N' Roses shows that you've been to, where did St. Paul fall for you?
Middle of the road. Maybe my expectations, because of just lacking in live music for the last year and a half, were so high. But it was a great show, and I could watch it every night of my life. But fit right in the middle. I loved every minute of it. The best one, I look back in 1993, I saw them on their Dust and Bones, kind of when they did the acoustic with the couch after the big Use Your Illusion world tour, but they went on a smaller, stripped down one. That by far was the best one. They were really refined, but they really, didn't have to have all the bells and whistles. They just sang. And that's what I just love. I want to hear raw music. I want to just feel that and experience it. So St. Paul was a great show, but it was middle of the road for all the ones I've seen, which is still awesome. So
get it. That's a very common answer too. And I wouldn't expect it to supersede seeing the Skin and Bones tour. That's why I like what they're doing now.
Skin and Bones. I'm sorry. I think I said Dust and Bones. Yeah.
Oh, either or. I'm not gonna be too. I'm a nerd, obviously, but I'm not gonna correct you like on something like that. But that's why I like what they do with Wichita Lineman and Patience now. That it's kind of like a mini version of that.
Yes.
I like that. Colleen, what about you? Someone who goes back to 2002 with me. Where does this fall for you?
So I would say this was probably my second favorite show. I mean, I really liked just being in the smaller venue. I liked getting to be that close. I mean, there was a point in the show where I looked at Duff and Duff looked at me and I was like, holy shit. Like, for this moment, Duff is like, that person exists. And I had a major fangirl moment. But for me, like, there's nothing, the first time I saw them on Not in This Lifetime, when I actually saw Axl Slash and Duff together. And I think on Not in This Lifetime too, that they kind of did more, they interacted more with one another, which I felt like I didn't see as much this show. Like, I thought Not in This Lifetime, there was a lot of great moments with like Axl and Slash together, and it was just really nice as a fan to see that. So I think the first show I saw Not in This Lifetime was probably the best I've seen.
That's great, though. I mean, everyone that I've asked on these review shows, it may not be the best. It could be middle of the road, top tier, but it's never a shot at this tour. It's just like you just saw some other amazing show with this other amazing experience that you can't take away from, which you get. But how successful this tour was, it really just speaks volumes to where this band is now. So it's fun to talk about new music and what they can do with it, what they should do with it. But I think just overall, what the product that they're putting out now, considering where they were, considering what we saw in 2002, Colleen, with Buckethead, and we would still be 6 years away from Chinese democracy. I mean, it's just quite incredible to see where this band is in 2021. Soon to be 2022 with all my Australian friends and friends overseas that get to see them. I want to get you guys out of here. I know, Colleen, your kids are probably freaking out and being away from their mom, or your husband's freaking out. By the way, he better know.
We're going for like 5 more hours. I'm locked in the room. It's okay.
Excellent. By the way, your husband better know, because I understand the agreement with my fiance. Duff is a hall pass. I mean, I know he's a good-looking dude. I can't look like that. Not that Susan would ever let it happen. But anyway, Colin, I'll ask you a more appropriate question. Do you have a favorite piece of Guns N' Roses memorabilia? It could be anything. It could be a T-shirt. It could be a concert ticket, a concert stub. It can be obviously memorabilia, what it all fits, something autographed. It could be a memory. What's your favorite Guns N' Roses piece of article of what?
So I think my favorite, I'm not a big like memorabilia person, like having kids and having like, I wish I had cool Guns N' Roses stuff everywhere. It would get destroyed. So I don't have cool stuff. But my favorite thing, I think, is the first year I was dating my husband. For Valentine's Day, he made me this really cool thing in a frame with the Appetite for Destruction album. And he like framed it and did this really cool thing with it. And for me, I was like, he gets me. For Valentine's Day, he is giving me something Guns N' Roses related. Like, yes, he gets me. I think this is going to work out. So I think that's probably my favorite.
That's my favorite now too. I love that. Look at that. Love creating Guns N' Roses. That's how you met your concert buddy. It's how you knew he was the one. You're raising your kids right. I knew I reached out to you, Colleen, for the right reason. Thank you. You're great. What about you, Eryk? What do you got memorabilia wise? What's your favorite Guns N' Roses thing?
I've got a lot of different trinkets and items and things. There's two that come to mind. The first one is on that first tour in Vegas, at the Hard Rock, all the employees would wear this special shirt. Well, they originally came out with the album cover from Appetite that was banned. Well, they made them change the shirt. So there were some employees that had the original band cover, and we made friends with one of the bartenders, and he kind of told us that story. And he actually went home the next day and brought me the shirt, gave it to me for free, because he knew what a fanatic I was with GN'R, and he just said, you can have it. And I said, can I give you money? Nope, just the look on your face right now is worth it. So, that was better than any autographed memorabilia. And I've got a lot of that, but that shirt just signified, I guess my passion, that alluded to some random bartender that gave me a shirt that maybe didn't mean anything to him, but it meant the world to me.
I love it. See, those are the stories I'm after, man. That's what it's all about. You'll never hear that from anybody else. Nobody else has that experience. People can get autographs. You're right. People can catch I know catch picks, catch microphones. We all want to do that, but each one of you have something so unique to you and involving Guns N' Roses. And that's what this podcast is all about. So that's absolutely incredible.
I will tell you someday I'll have that Not in This Lifetime pinball machine and the original one someday in the next 5 or 6 years.
If I ever get the means, man, I would love to do that. Colleen, you would never have to. You can keep them occupied all day. They would never get homework done if you probably had GN'R pinball.
I was just thinking, Eryk, let us know. We'll all come over. We'll have a big party at your house and play pinball.
We'll have a GN'R theme party. Everybody can dress up in something GN'R. Oh, gotta be great. I'd love to host it.
I love it. Oh, then let me ask this before we go, because I think I don't know if I'm gonna have fans on again before Halloween. We're a few weeks away, and I made a post yesterday about there was these cute little kids dressed up in Axel and Slash. You see a lot of them like that, but these both of them, the parent got them mid-cry. It just looks amazing. I don't know if Eryk, you did with your kids when they were a little younger. If Colleen, you do now. Do you dress them up in Guns N' Roses stuff for Halloween? Do either of you?
I will come on and say I never dressed up my kids like it, but when I was in college, for a part, I dressed up like Axl Rose with shorts that were short, and I used a flannel, kind of like a kilt, and I had a GN'R shirt, bandana, hat backwards, glasses on with a long red hair wig on there, and that was. I walked in, everybody just rolled their eyes because they knew exactly what I was doing.
And you see, by the way, you see plenty of those costumes at the shows. So kudos to everybody that goes to these shows dressed as Axel and Slash. There's something very Rocky Horror Picture Show about that. I kind of like it. You know, it is fun. But Colleen, any
other show, like any other show I go to, they do not do that. It really is like just the Slashes and Axels of Guns N' Roses.
I think I've said that too, and that's it's a great observation. What other band are you going to? Yeah, if you're going to go to Kiss, you can wear the Kiss makeup.
Or Kiss, yeah.
But that's makeup. You're not dressing as guys, right? Is anyone dressing as James Hetfield? Like, how would you dress as James Hetfield? I don't even know how. I don't even know. So, yeah, it's Axel and Slash to this day. Especially, I love the people who dress like Axel today. If it's just like the totally ripped up jeans and a unique shirt and the kind of cowboy hat. And so they're updating rather their Axel costume. So awesome. Colleen, Eryk, this was a pleasure. Colleen, thank you I hope this was this as bad as you thought it would be? Or was it as nerve-wracking as you thought it would be?
No, not at all. It was so much fun.
Awesome. Because I'm going to use you as a testimonial now. So when we do shows, next year, I expect my Australian friends to come on and do reviews. Okay? Because I don't know if I could do that. That's like a 22-hour flight. I can't say not in this lifetime. So maybe one of these days I'll do that. Eryk, thank you. I appreciate you understanding. We were going to have another Dylan, who is not only a Guns N' Roses fan, but a huge Ninja Turtles fan like myself. He was going to, shout out to him, he was going to join us today, but just couldn't. He was somebody else like you, Eryk, that I had to put on hold because I'm like, I can't do concert reviews now because Hard Skool is going to come out, and I wish I could, do this podcast daily. But
I'm happy to be a part of it. Thanks for including me.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I remember some things. I remember, so if anybody else out there who was once asked me to do a review or a fan obsession and I've forgotten about you, just remind me, and you'll be just like Eryk and Colleen. You'll be just like them. Isn't that what everybody wants? So what is to come on the podcast? Well, no more reviews for now. I will say the next guest should be, knock on wood. I guess Colleen, I get nervous with everything until I get that person on with me. I think it's going to be canceled. So Wednesday at 2:00, I should be getting a Zoom with Josh Freeze, who, kind of wrote the title track, Chinese Democracy. And I won't bombard him with Guns N' Roses stuff. He has some new stuff to promote, but I think the guy he's been on over 400 albums in his career. So we'll talk about not all 400, but we'll talk about a lot of stuff. So that should be the next episode with Josh Freeze. What else is to come? No, well, we'll have to find out. So when will you see the next episode of Appetite for Distortion? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it. I don't know if soon is the word.